Langley Speedway, the showdown place tonight for the Maritime iRacing League, the third jewel in the Triple Crown of the Maritime iRacing League. It's time to go live for 250 laps in the debut of the super late model. You're watching it all live on ETV Live. It is the Cousin Service Center 250, presented by Cousin Service Center, part of the Maritime iRacing League. Good evening, race fans. Joe Cortez, Evan Pizzoco, joining you live from Langley Speedway. And Evan, tonight's going to be a big night of first in many different ways, shapes, and forms. But most importantly, tonight is the official television debut of the brand new car from iRacing, the super late model, never been seen before. We're going to show it here tonight on ETV Live.
Yeah, you put that new car on top of the fact that it's going to be 250 laps this evening, Joe, and it's good to be able to come back after a week hiatus with the MIRL and come back here racing at another unique racetrack with all these guys. I know that they've been pumped. They've been testing out these new super late models, quite a different beast than the original late models on the iRacing service, so I think it's going to be nothing short of spectacular this evening.
A couple of notes for some of those fans at home. A couple drivers won't be showing up tonight. Brad Eddy not able to make the show. Craig McDonald not able to make the show as well. And already some turmoil and drama going on in the Maritime iRacing League. There may be some penalties going on which could absolutely shake up the points structure as it stands right now. Ricky Arbeau currently sitting at the top of the field, 2 wins, average finish of 4th. He is tied in point for first with Jake Goodwin, who has no wins but an average finish of 3rd place. Stephen Matthews with 1 win is 3rd, 274 points behind, not terribly behind Ricky Arbeau and Jake Goodwin. Kevin Walker, your last season's champion, Ronnie McKay in 5th. Rounding out your top 10, Stefan Arsenal, Brad Eddy, Nathan Doherty, Martin Landry, and Travis Roma, rounding out that top group here. And so tonight's going to be really a test for them on many different levels, mostly because it's the first time really MIRL has elected to run the super late model, and it's going to come at a very, very treacherous track that's going to test these drivers for what's going to be a very long race.
And definitely, as soon as that SLM came out on the iRacing service, much like most of the community was, these drivers really wanted to get in for these races, and now they're going to get in. They're going to see how it works out this evening. Joe, you were talking about the points. Jake Goodwin, he's tied with Arbeau up at the top of the points. You mentioned no wins. I know that Jake Goodwin, he's going to be looking for that this evening. He was fastest in practice. He's currently sitting on the provisional pole in the 48, and he's a familiar face here on ATV. We always see him up at the front of the field. Very aggressive driver, and I'm sure he'll be looking to pick up that win this evening.
And another thing to keep in mind tonight is the third jewel in the Maritime iRacing League Triple Crown. So there's going to be 2 sets of points we're going to be watching for tonight. Jake Goodwin right now on top of the points position in the Triple Crown Series, 194 points. Ronnie McKay hot in his heels, 2 points behind. Mike Alexander, Keith Mack, Steve Matthews, your top 5 in that. And of course, the bad guy himself, Tim Terry, the man wearing the black cowboy hat, in position as well. So still 2 races to watch tonight. Obviously, the overall points championship for the Maritime iRacing League Spring Championship, but more importantly, almost arguably more importantly, the Triple Crown event. The Triple Crown champion will be crowned tonight as well.
Yeah, that is almost more important than the season points coming into this evening. Again, we still got a lot of racing to go in this season, but you look at the Triple Crown, this is the final one in that. They've been to South Boston, they've been to Oxford, you went down the points there, they've set themselves up, and now it's time to capitalize. Again, Jake Goodwin in the 48, he's in first, but that's only 2 points over Ronnie McKay in second, and only 2 more points behind him. There's a tie for third with Mike Alexander and Keith Mack. And Joe, those are just mere positions on the racetrack, and the way these short track races tend to go here when these guys are going heated for those points championship battle, absolutely nothing is guaranteed going into this evening, and this is going to be a championship caliber battle down to the finish to take the checkered flag in that Triple Crown.
And another thing to note while we're talking about that, tonight's race is going to be longer, not only because they're running a new car, not only because it is the Triple Crown, the last event in the Triple Crown, but it's also a physically a little bit longer track than they normally run here in the Maritime iRacing League. A lot of the tracks we've seen this season, well under a half mile, a couple under a third of a mile. Tonight's race is exactly 4/10 of a mile, as close to a half mile as these guys are going to get. So it's going to be a test for these drivers. Whoever comes comes out at the top of this field, whoever comes out with the win tonight, it will be a testament to their ability to adapt to the new car, to adapt to a very long racetrack, adapt to a track that has a very treacherous turn 4. There is still that dip in turn number 4. If you hit it wrong, you're going to go for a ride. It happened to Tim Terry this time last year, where he only made it 9 laps for that dip, took him out. This will be a testament to whoever comes out on top. It will be a testament to their ability to drive. End of story.
For sure, and I mean, that's something that we saw these drivers battling against in the warm-up session, is trying to nail that exit at the turn number 4. Joe, you talked about the length of this track, but also, how about the banking? Only 6 degrees into turns 4 on the straightaways. That's a lot less, almost flat compared to some of these high-bank short tracks that we've seen here in the past. So it is going to be a really interesting combination, putting these guys out their first race with the MIRL and the new cars, and you're putting them on a track like Langley Speedway. It should be a fun night.
Tonight's race brought to you by Cousins Service Center and Cousins Towing and Recovery. They are an automotive business in Chesapeake, Nova Scotia. Contact Todd Cousins for all your automotive needs. Cousins Service Center and Cousins Towing, presenting the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 live from Langley Speedway. So, to make this race a little bit more interesting, before we go to our national anthem, this race is going to be a little bit more interesting because Cousins Towing and Recovery, the title sponsor of tonight's race, has also put up a pole challenge. One driver within the top 5 will be offered the challenge. They'll go to the very back of the grid. They'll have to start in position number 23, and for every position they pick up through the race and finish as opposed to where they started, they will get an extra 50-cent bonus on top of whatever they might be entitled to at the end of the night. If they come back to win the event, they are looking at an additional $5 bonus, so a total of $16 if you can come from the back of the field and win this race.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make this even that more exciting. And Joe, I mean, time is winding down in the qualifying session. Everybody's got their times in, and I'm sure that these fans are pumped, and we're excited to get this thing going.
So right now they are going through the drivers. They're asking the drivers, giving them the option to take that. First person to be offered is Jake Goodwin. Jake Goodwin will pass up on it. Steve Matthews, Ronnie McKay, Keith Mack, Kevin Walker remaining your top 5. And so we're waiting for one of these drivers to accept the challenge. Let me ask you something real quick before we go to the race here. Evan, if you were in that top group, would you take it?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, you got to look at the guys. If you're in those the Triple Crown points, you're up there. It's a risky move. Again, we talked about that there's still a lot of races to go to regular season, so you can make up for some lost ground this evening. For sure, you could easily beat a guy that finishes in the top 5 because you never know what's going to happen with incidents. But I think if you're going to be up there in those Triple Crown points, your eyes are going to be set on that more than that bonus.
Well, not only that, but Jake Goodwin, who's right now starting on the pole of tonight's race, he's got a lot to lose. He's all tied for first in points with Ricky Arbeau, so he's got to get those extra bonus points for being at the top of the field. Steve Matthews, Ronnie McKay, Keith Mack, Kevin Walker, they're all within the top 5 as well. So a lot of guys here, they might be playing the bigger strategy as opposed to the short-time cash and dash, if you will. It looks like they're going ahead and gridding up. They got the top 2 on the field. Let's go ahead and take you down to tonight's qualifying order for the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 at Langley Speedway, part of the Maritime iRacing League. Jake Goodwin on the pole, turning in a time of 14.885 seconds around Langley Speedway. He will start position number 1. On the outside of him, on row number 1, Stephen Matthews in the 98th. The Racing for Chelsea machine starts position number 2.
Row 2 at the inside, the 03 of Ronald McKay going to be starting in the 3rd spot. Outside him, the 22 of Keith Mack in 4th.
Kevin Walker and the Childhood Cancer Canada machine will start in position number 5 in the 35 machine. Outside of him, the JPB construction machine of Travis Roa starts 6th.
Then you got Doug Ubley in the 33 machine starting in the 7th position, and Mike Rhino in the 34th rolling off 8th.
They start rolling through the field. Let's continue taking around the field. Todd Cousins in the Cousins recovery machine starts 9th in 05. Kyle Gammon in the 51 starts 10th.
David Cassidy in the 13 machine starting 11th, 12th position, the 27 of Carter Wilson.
Nathan Doherty will start on the inside of row number 7. Outside of him, the 02 of Christopher Garnett starts 14th.
Patrick Healy in the 5 machine starting 15th, and 16th, the 52 of Steven Arsenault.
Jake Goodwin is driving to the back of the field. Jake Goodwin will accept the challenge tonight. Let's go ahead and continue through the field. It's going to be Tracy Foster and Martin Landry. Both those drivers, the last two to take time. They will start 17th and 18th on the field.
Ricky Arbeau at 61, going to start 19th, 20th to 15th to Mackenzie Brewer.
George White, Tim Terry, Carson Nahu, Mike Alexander, Chris Roma, the last five drivers on the field. They will start 22nd or 21st through 25th. In the bigger news, Jake Goodwin decided to change his mind on that. Jake Goodwin will take the challenge. He will start 23rd on this field, giving the pole to effectively Stephen Matthews.
And that's going to be interesting. He's up there. He's leading those Triple Crown points. An interesting call by Jake Goodwin as green flag flies. We're racing at Langley Speedway. We're going to have to keep an eye and see what that 48 can do. He's going to be way at the back of this big pack.
Ronnie McKay drops the hammer quick, and he will take the lead away from Steve Matthews. Steve Matthews drops to position number 2. Ronnie McKay in the 0-3 steals lap number 1, and we are officially racing. Stephen Matthews second, Kevin Walker third, Keith Mack fourth, Travis Roma fifth, and everybody right now driving single file. You got to go double file racing. You got to go all the way back to position number 17, where Christopher Garnett is right now in the 0-2 machine. Under him, the 0-72 of George White. This is the only place we're seeing that double file racing right now. And here comes the 48 of Jake Goodwin. He passes Tim Terry without any problems right now, and Carson Nahu as well. So he's now looking at about $1 as they go 3 wide to turn 3 and 4.
Trying to negotiate that as they're going for it throughout the pack. And you mentioned they single filed out pretty quickly here. Everybody trying to find a place in line to ride around. At 61 of Ricky Arbeau by the pass. He's actually going to go to the inside of Nathan Doherty in the 16 machine. So Ricky Arbeau going to move up to 12th position and pick up that spot. He's picked up 2. Actually, Arbeau started in 19th position. He's already up to 12th. So the 61 machine is flying.
48 machine on fire as well. That 48 machine has gone from the 23rd position, now currently scored 19th, should be 18th as he dispatches the 072 machine of George White. Now looking under the 15 of Mackenzie Brewer. Jake Goodwin is a man on a mission right now. It's not just about the dollars at hand, it's now also about the points. He's really proven that 48 machine can handle like a dream out there. He might know something we don't as he crosses the start-finish line. Up front, no change to your lead order. Ronald McKay first, Stephen Matthews now under fire from Kevin Walker. We have a battle for second.
They're going to go at it for that number 2 spot. 35 of Walker on the inside, able to get around Matthews. The 22 of Keith Mack. He's up there in those Triple Crown points. He's in the inside of the 98 of Matthews. He's going to clear him off the corner. 38 machine of Travis Roma can't quite sneak in line. So Stephen Matthews is going to drop back to P4. 38 of Roma now back to the inside off the corner.
Roma looking for a position over the 98 of Steve Matthews. Steve Matthews was running second at the beginning of this race. Now it looks like he's struggling a little bit on the outside. He's now about to let the 34 machine by. That's Mike Rhino. Mike Rhino almost makes contact with the 98. 34 now is forced to duck in. The 072 in the grass.
072, George White is around, and he was in front of that pack of cars, a self-spin, and they all had to take evasive action and have to avoid him, and the yellow flag got to fly. We're going to slow him back down, and that was very, very close to becoming a multiple car incident after George White having some trouble coming through the corner, and it was going into turn number 1 and just lost the handle on that thing, spun it around. Yellow flag is going to fly, nobody else involved, so no harm, no foul, but under the first yellow of the evening.
Tim Terry telling his crew, hey, we're not the lap 10 caution. We've already exceeded our efforts from last year. George White bringing out the first caution flag. And this really shows you the power of these super late models and how if you hit the gas wrong, if you miss it, the turn, you could be going for a ride very, very quickly. And it looks like George White will bring out our first caution flag of the evening in the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 at Langley Speedway. Still up front, leading all 10 laps so far. It's Ronnie McKay in the 0-3 machine, Kevin Walker, Keith Mack, Travis Roma, and Mike Rhino rounding out your top 5 tonight. Ronnie McKay, remember, he's only 2 points behind Jake Goodwin in the Triple Crown series, in the Triple Crown mini series, so he could have a good shot. If he wins this race, if he goes pole to pole, he could very, very easily find himself walking away with that Triple Crown at the end of this night. Ronnie McKay did win one of the Triple Crown events. He won the Oxford race, so that puts him in a very, very good position to win, not necessarily win tonight's race, but at least have a strong shot at winning the Triple Crown.
And you got to take a look at the 48 of Jake Goodwin. Again, we talked about him giving up that pole position, and you said he was showing us that car could handle it, and obviously with a fast machine, I mean, he was fastest in practice, Joe. He took the pole in qualifying, drop back. He's already up to 14th position as this yellow flag flew, and he was really making some headway. So as long as Jake Goodwin can keep that nose clean, and the fact that we have 250 laps in tonight's event, I don't think there's any question that 48 is going to be back up front by the time it's all said and done.
48 started 23rd, now up to 14th. Now, as regarding my calculator, he's got $9 in the bank if he can finish in that position. So Jake Goodwin on a mission tonight. He's got a lot on his mind, a lot in his plate. $16 if he wins the race, but more importantly, 2 points ahead of Ronnie McKay for that Triple Crown. So he's got a lot to compete for tonight. Jake Goodwin rolling the dice early, but he's definitely making it work for him out there. Ricky Arbeau, the other man tied for the bigger Spring Series points lead. He's currently running position number 9 right now in that red and yellow machine. Ricky Arbeau's got a good shot. He's won 2 races here so far, and I know he would love to add one of the Triple Crown jewels to his repertoire.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely solid, and to pick up a win, he's definitely capable of getting that done here. Still very early on in the going here as we are doubled up, and the lights are off atop the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, so it's going to dump down to the safety of pit lane. There it goes, Ronnie McKay on the gas pedal, and Ronnie McKay in the 03 machine, he's going to take off and sail it off to the corner. Top 2 breakaways side by side for third off. 235 is going to slide back, and Mike Rhino up to third.
Drops the hammer quick. Ronnie McKay gets down and away. Keith Mack, Mike Rhino, Kyle Gammon now in the mix. Ricky Arbeau gets a huge jump, picks up 3 positions on the restart. Score Arbeau in position number 5. Now a little bit more aggressive battling behind him. 05 to 38 to 48, all involved now. Jake Goodwin picks up 4 positions on the restart. Now looking to make it a 5th position, hoping to be scored in position number 9. As now 13 in trouble.
13 machine of David Cassidy is around. Tim Terry's going to pile on in. The 15 of Mackenzie Brewer. 33 is in it, and the yellow going to fly at Langley Speedway, Joe, right after we went back to the green flag. And the incident's going to be caused by the 75 machine of Tim Terry just getting into the left rear of the 13. He went around. Terry locked up the brakes on his Swan machine and got run over by the 98 behind him that had nowhere to go. And a couple guys going to get some damage out of that.
So Tim Terry extends his run on this track to 17 laps, but still not the look he wanted. Remember, he only finished this race with 9 laps in the books, so he's at least almost doubled his best effort here at Langley Speedway. The 13-15 also involved in that secondary incident to that. The 54 nowhere to go as the 072 was checking up, so Carson Aoub will get into the Mac of the 072 of George White. 5 cars involved in this incident in some way, shape, or form. None of your leaders, however, but this will cause a little bit of break in racing as they get them unaccordioned, if you will, and get back on track.
You know, all the guys getting torn up here early in the going, currently working under the yellow flag. Only 20 laps into this thing with 250 on the board, so this time by only 230 to go, so still a fair bit of racing that we have. So a little bit of cautions at the beginning of the race. No harm, no foul. A long way to go, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of green flag racing. And these guys, again, they're still adapting to this new car. They haven't had it for the longest amount of time, and again, putting them on a track like Langley Speedway in their first league race with these suckers on the broadcast is not an easy task by any means. So these guys doing a good job of negotiating. You talked about Jake Goodwin. Goodwin, in the 2 laps that we went, Joe, after we went back to the green flag racing, he picked up 5 spots, and he's already back to 9th.
So there's a lot that's going on right now for that 48 team. They know that they've got a good car, but they also want to have a little bit of a payday as a result of having that strong car. Also give a shout to 61. He made a big run as a result of that restart. Now he's sitting in position number 4. Keith Mack, the zigzag man, also sitting up there as well. He's up to position number 2. He's had a quiet season so far, but he's a very easy, very strong candidate to walk away with the Triple Crown as well. Only 4 points away from Jake Goodwin, 2 points away from Ronnie McKay, and tied with Ron Alexander. So any of the drivers within that top 5 group, Jake Goodwin, Ronnie McKay, Mike Alexander, Keith Mack, all have an excellent shot of walking away with the Triple Crown tonight.
Yeah, the top 4, only 4 points within each other, or separating them for the matter of the fact in those championship standings, and only 4 spots on a track like this is Not a lot, and you can see how easily you can lose spots. The top lane has not had the runs that they've wanted when we go back to the green flag. We saw that with those guys on the outside lane on this most recent restart, with the inside just so strong at a turn number 2. So just such a critical race, really, in determining this, and you really can't be comfortable with anything until we get down to those final lap or so, as pace car lights are off, going into 4, looking for the green.
Ronnie McKay wastes no time getting on the hammer. We're back to green flag racing on lap 24. Time is ticking away here at Langley Speedway, and it's Ronnie McKay getting the big jump early in the race. Mike Rhino immediately on his back bumper, and now they're stacking up there for position. The 51 machine, that's Kyle Gammon. He's fighting Keith Mack for position. The 35 and 61 battling for position. Kevin Walker has the advantage. Ricky Arbeau on the outside, and here comes Jake Goodwin out of nowhere from the doghouse. Now looking at the penthouse in 3 and 4. Almost made contact with the 35 and 22. Jake Goodwin, like a steam train, keeps rolling on.
Yeah, Keith Mack was looking for a way in line, can't get it done. There goes the 48 of Jake Goodwin, now back up into the top 5 for the 48 machine after giving up the pole just over 20 laps ago. More side-by-side action. Big wiggle to 22 of Keith Mack. It's going to get sideways at the quarter. He's able to hang on to it. Causes the 27 of Wilson to check up, and that's going to break up the side-by-side battle that we saw behind these guys. So a couple laps into this restart, Joe, everybody's starting to single file out. A couple of battles, bumper to bumper. Nobody side-by-side at this point.
Nobody side-by-side yet, but we could have a battle brewing for position number 1. Ronnie McKay has led all 28 so far. Michael Rhino, though, in the 34 Ford EcoBoost machine, he wants to try to lead. He was just on the back bumper of the 03 a moment ago. Took the turn a little wide, and here he is again, less than a car length away. He's reeling in that 03, but really biding his time on when he wants to make the move and how he wants to do it. Kevin Walker, Kyle Gammon, Jake Goodwin now starting to spread out a little bit. Jake Goodwin, you know he's antsy. He's in position number 1, and now 16's around. Nathan Doherty around.
Nathan Doherty is around. He's down on the pit lane after a little bit of a self-spin out of the corner. No caution flag is going to fly, and he's going to have to pull that to the attention of his crew as he kept it off the racing group, but a single car spin for the 16 machine is going to put him down the pit lane. No yellow, still green.
No yellow as he was able to take it down pit road inadvertently. Looks like he just hooked the apron there. As now Jake Goodwin gets around the 51 of Kyle Gammon. Keith Mack coming along for the ride as well. The zigzag man smokes the 51 very easily. As now we got a lap car impeding traffic a little bit. That is going to be the 54 of Carson Aoub. Now the 98's around in turn 2.
Caution flag going to fly. Stephen Matthews at the 98 machine is going to go around, and we're under the yellow flag. It looked like on the replay they were negotiating some lap traffic. The 54 machine on the outside lane, 1 lap down. 98 threw it to the inside to avoid him, got right up on the back bumper to Tracy Foster's 55, and 98 had to stomp on those brakes and split it around and then split it around, trying to get back going again. So under the yellow flag, 98 is Stephen Matthews. A self-spin, but not entirely on his own. He got a little bit of a predicament there getting around that lap traffic, Joe, and that's something that we were talking about. Whenever you see that lap traffic and you're one of those lead lap guys, you always want to hold your breath trying to sneak around those guys, hoping that it doesn't cause any incident.
So 98 of Steve Matthews, and you know what? I almost agree with what he did here, and I'll tell you why. It looks like he's going to run into the back of the 55, ends up slamming the brakes, and this way saves himself a little bit of damage on the 98 machine. Yeah, he might have some chassis damage as a result of that spin, but the 98, the body's still good, the engine's still good. He might be able to salvage this run yet as he comes down to the attention of his crew to get some of that fixed. Let's go ahead and step away from the microphones to take our first commercial break of the evening. You are watching ETV Live's live coverage of the Maritime iRacing League, a race out from Langley Speedway. It is the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 live from Langley. Stay tuned, fans. We'll be back with more after this.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last gun start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last gun start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last gun start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green
Double file restart getting ready to happen here at Langley Speedway. Pace car getting out of the way, and we are restarting on lap 38 of the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250, part of the Triple Crown of the Maritime iRacing League on ETV Live. Ronnie McKay gets a jump once again. Mike Rhino behind him, and now it's a litany of drivers behind him, battling for position number 3. Kevin Walker in the mix, Jake Goodwin in the mix, Carter Wilson in the mix, but it will go to Keith Mack. He will go to position number 4, the 27 of Carter Wilson, position number 5, and Jake Goodwin, who is on that pole challenge, he's going to start dropping back. Not what he wants to see in that 48 race for Chelsea Red Bull machine.
This is the first time we've seen the 48 go backwards all race. This time by the stripe, he's going to fall into line to the 7th position, and that's getting stuck on that top lane. The inside is the way to go here at this racetrack, and because of where he was sitting on the restart, got shuffled out to the top lane, and that single file line of cars just did not allow him any sort of room to get down in line. But once they break up, he's going to be able to pull down in that 7th position. You talk about a race leader, Ronnie McKay in the 03 machine, doing solid up front. 34 is continuing to try to challenge for that spot. That's Mike Rhino in second, whenever he doesn't have anything for him for now.
Todd Cousins in the 05 machine. That's the Cousins Towing and Recovery machine. He is holding strong right now in the top 10, sitting just in the top 10 in the position number 8 with the 05 machine of Cousins. He's going to continue to run as hard as he can. Here comes Stefan Arsenal now in the 52. That unsponsored machine gets under the 05, and he will take away the position. Now it's going to be a jailbreak behind him as the 51 of Kyle Gammon gets back in the mix. And Travis Roma, currently top 10 in points, he wants to come along for the ride as well.
They're all going some little bit of beating and banging side by side with the 55 of Tracy Foster back at the pack, and caution flag going to fly, trouble on the track, and one car is going to go around, and under the yellow 54 is in it. The 00 machine of Martin Landry is sideways in front of the field.
The 00 machine of Martin Landry was involved. Looks like he just got too hot going into turns 3 and 4. He is going to spin in front of a significant amount of the field. And I'm also being told the 54 of Carson Aoub also involved in that as well. Barely avoiding the 00, but it will be the 00 Martin Landry who caused that flag. And he will bring out the 3rd caution flag of the evening.
It has gone there a little too hot into the quarter there, Joe, and went sideways and really didn't even have a shot at bringing that thing back around and got a little bit of damage. The 13 might have clipped him with the right front, but the 13 looks like no harm, no foul on that machine, and he's going to be okay. And the 00 had to sit there for a while to make sure that he didn't pull back out in front of everybody, and therefore that 00 Martin Landry, he's going to go a lap down because he was unable to get back going before the leaders came back around and passed him. So unfortunately for him, he's going to drop back now to 20th. He's going to be the second machine, 1 lap down. David Cassidy in the 13 after spitting earlier in this event. He is the first car 1 lap down, and he's going to get the lucky dog right now and rejoin these guys on the lead lap.
19 cars will be on the lead lap when we're back to green flag racing. 4 cars will be at least 1 lap down. Ronnie McKay has controlled each and every lap we've run here so far at Langley Speedway, getting to the 5th of the way mark when we hit lap number 50. 20% of this race officially in the books. Mike Rhino, Kevin Walker, Keith Mack, Carter Wilson, your top 5. And then there's your points leaders, Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin, 6th and 7th. Arbeau looks like he's biding his time. Jake Goodwin knows he's got a challenge to win, and the sooner he gets up front, the sooner he can try to hold on to that number 1 position. And then there's a lot of guys who are kind of having a quiet night, but they're holding on to their own, like Todd Cousins, Travis Roma, Tracy Foster, Kyle Gammon, all those drivers hovering in and out of the top 10, out of the top 11, but all those drivers really showing their tenacity and their ability to handle this car tonight. Something we said at the beginning of this race, it's going to come down to who's going to be able to manage this car the best, and you're already starting to see some of those candidates rise to the top 20% of the way through.
Yeah, once you get those green flag laps and the laps really start to knock off and you talk about these machines, some of the drivers still letting each other know, hey, I don't quite know how far my nose goes out yet. And we saw a couple guys rubbing up on each other's back bumpers unintentionally there, and some of them were able to save it. We had a little bit of contact around 5th where we were taking a look at some guys side by side behind them. I believe it was Carter Wilson that got sideways in the 27. He was able to hang on to it. So still adjusting to these cars as the lights are off atop the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car. Down the back straight, we're going to be looking for the green flag to come around and take lap number 50.
Lap number 50 about to be on the books as the cars make their way through. Ronnie McKay, Mike Rhino on the front row. Pace car gets the heck out of the way. We're back to green flag racing, and Ronnie McKay wastes no time dropping the hammer. He's going to try to keep up. Now here comes Mike Rhino on the outside. He's going to try the first outside pass of the night. Not going to work. Ronnie McKay just too strong. Mike Rhino hung out to dry as here comes the 35. Kevin Walker gets by. The 27 of Carter Wilson looking to get by. And Jake Goodwin back in the mix once again, being followed by Ricky Arbeau in behind him. Keith Mack, Todd Cousins, all looking for position as a result of that restart.
34 machine, he was unable to get it on the top. Mike Rhino continuing to draw back on a racetrack now, this time by the start-finish line to 6th, and the 22 machine of Keith Mack is going to get around him again. Jake Goodwin in the 48 was able to start on the inside lane. He's already back up to the 4th position. He's trying to battle with Carter Wilson. Carter Wilson in the 27 machine has a handful trying to keep that thing pointed forward.
55 machine of Tracy Foster. He goes around. He's going to be in the grass, and now he's going to pull it down to pit road. 54 also being involved in that one. That's Carson Aoub. And Carson Aoub's unstuck in the middle of the raceway as the car slowly passed him. That will be a yellow flag, and I believe that's Carson's second incident he's been involved in tonight.
That was almost 2 separate incidents. The 55 machine looking like a self-spin out of line. Up with the group, and he got down there under the grass. He was able to hang on to it, and not sure if the 55 put some oil down, but the 54 went around right where he was, and he slid back up onto the racing surface in the 54, and once he came to the stop, the race officials throwing the yellow flag because here comes our race leaders. So good thing that the 54 did not pull in front of our leaders, because that could have caused some unintentional damage obviously to those guys. So he's going to lose another lap by having to sit there and let those guys go all the way back around him before he was able to get out of that stuck position. So under another yellow flag this evening, we saw a couple more shuffling up at the front of the field, but nonetheless back under the yellow flag at Langley.
Back under the yellow flag for the 5th time tonight. All eyes on Jake Goodwin, Ricky Arbeau, your 2 points leaders. They continue to run in the top 5 now, and Jake Goodwin, whole lot on the line for him as we've gone over and over again. Tonight's race brought to you in part by Cousins Towing and Recovery and Cousins Service Center, that automotive business in Chesapeake, Nova Scotia. Contact Todd Cousins for all your automotive needs when you're in the Maritime. Cousins Service Center and Cousins Towing and Recovery, the proud sponsors of tonight's race, the 3rd Triple Crown event for the Maritime iRacing League at Langley Speedway. So to make things more interesting, it looks like a lot of these guys will be able to make the rest of the race on gas as a result of all these caution flags. The question, though, is, do you really want to? This very flat track is abrasive on those tires that got underneath the cars, and it might not hurt your campaign, especially if you're towards the back, to get 4 brand new rubbers on them and take them out for a spin.
Well, it's not uncommon that we see guys come down when you get late in these races, Joe, and there's only a handful of guys on the lead lap. It's not uncommon to see somebody pit with 30 to go on the opportunity of a yellow flag and just drive through these guys and end up winning by more than he would have if he stayed out and in the lead position. So I don't really think it's going to be a factor at this point. As long as they're good on fuel, that's going to be one thing checked off their list for now. And I'm sure their crew, they're going to be talking, see what other drivers are going to think, and we might see somebody throw something like that coming at us when they're coming down to the checkered flag. But because they're all taken care of for now, I think we'll just see a lot of cruising.
Pace car lights are off. One more lap to go. Let's reset the field for you real quick. Ronnie McKay, Kevin Walker starts on row number 1. Carter Wilson, Jake Goodwin, row number 2. Ricky Arbeau, Keith Mack, row number 3. Mike Rhino, Todd Cousins, row number 4. Kyle Gammon and Steve Matthews round out your top 5. Travis Roma, Stephen Arsenal, Patrick Healy, Christopher Garnett, David Cassidy, your top 15, as it looks like we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing. Pace car gets out of the way. The 48 makes contact with the 35 on the restart, and we are back to racing on lap 59. Ronnie McKay once again gets the big jump battle for second. Carter Wilson in second. The 35 machine looks like he's starting to struggle a little bit, as here comes Ricky Arbeau in the 61. Jake Goodwin gets under the 35 machine as well. Kevin Walker did not get the start he wanted. He got shoved at the beginning, and that's going to hurt him. He's going to start dropping through this field.
Yeah, Jake Goodwin gave it a shot for sleeping on that restart, and he's stuck on the outside lane and continuing to drop back now around the 10th position. Still can't get it on, and he's got a handful. He's working that wheel inside of his number 35 machine, trying to keep it going, but he's going to drop all the way back, Joe, from the front row to well outside of the top 10 as he continues to try to find a spot line. He is now going to find it in front of Steven Arsenault, so this time by the stripe, scoring's good update, and he is going to be sitting in, I want to say, the 9th spot, so he's able to get in line and stop some of the bleeding per se, but he lost a lot of spots there in about 2-3 laps.
Ronnie McKay still in control after a quarter of the way through, led every lap. Does anybody have anything to answer for to him? They continue to line up behind him. Carter Wilson, Ricky Arbeau, Jake Goodwin, Mike Rhino, your top 5 is 61, now gets out of line after almost making contact with the 27 of Carter Wilson. Opens the door for the 48 of Jake Goodwin, and Jake Goodwin picks up another 50 cents as he continues his run on the pole challenge. Mike Rhino gets position as well with the 61 of Arbeau. He's going to try to fight for his life on the high side, but it might be a fight in futility.
The 22 is now at his inside. That's Keith Mack. They're going to go at it side by side, and the 22 machine of Mack is going to clear him. Coming up out of the quarter, now to 398 machine behind them. Stephen Matthews is unable to get to the inside, so Ricky Arbeau able to pull in line and protect that position. But again, he's going to drop all the way back now to what is the 6th position. You talk about the 48 of Jake Goodwin picking up another 50 cents. He's up to the 3rd spot. The 27 of Wilson is in front of him. Carter Wilson is a fast machine, but it looks like these guys in these new cars here, Joe, that they're able to throw it into those corners a lot better, and that's typically what we see the cause of some of these incidents is you have some room, do you take it? They'll throw it down there into the corner, and you'll end up taking a guy in front of you out. It looks like these cars are doing a little bit better at being able to stick it on the bottom.
Some of these cars are able to be better than others sticking on the bottom. You see the 00 now coming off pit road after what looks like it's unscheduled pit stop. A lot of these guys working very hard with these new cars to try to figure out what makes them tick, what doesn't make them tick, and try to really make it work. 00 now in trouble as he spins.
Yeah, he spun, and that's why we saw him low at even there. Joey spun actually down to the exit of the pit lane, so it looked exactly like he was coming out of pit lane, so definitely unscheduled for sure. Martin Landry having some trouble. He's able to hang on to it. He phased through that pace car, so pace car drivers, luckily that he was not sitting in that machine, but Martin Landry back out of the racetrack. However, he's going to lose his lap. Now 18th, will not down.
Running some numbers real quick. Ryan McKay continues to be in control of this field. Carter Wilson second. Jake Goodwin third. If the race were to end right now, the Triple Crown would go to Ronnie McKay by only 2 points. If Jake Goodwin were to finish in second, then they would tie for the Triple Crown. And if Jake Goodwin were able to finish in front of Ronnie McKay, then Jake Goodwin would very easily take away the Triple Crown. It's now at 34. Mike Rhino looks like he's in trouble. We're forced to go way high through turns 1 and 2. He's going to drop to the end of that first drafting group there. He's going to go tag along on the back of the 98 machine. That's Steve Matthews, and Steve Matthews will go up to 6th. Mike Rhino 7th, Kevin Walker 8th, Steven Arsenault 9th, and it looks like Travis Roma in the JPB construction machine will round out your top 10 as the top 10 starting to get distance on the rest of the field.
17 cars on the lead lap, but a side-by-side battle for second as the 48 of Jake Goodwin is able to get back around Carter Wilson, and there's another 50 cents in the 48's bank. So after starting on pole position, dropping to the back of the field, now as we take lap number 75, Jake Goodwin is back up into the top 2. So as they would sit right now, again, him and Ronnie McKay over the front of this race are tied, but yellow flag is going to fly 5 machine. Patrick Healy is around in the corner, and looks like he might have got a little bit of help from the 55.
The 5 and 55 were battling hard for that position. The 5 car ended up getting around with the help of the 55 machine, gives him the pit maneuver going into the turn. 5 nowhere to go. He's going to spin almost in front of your leaders, and that will bring out the caution flag once again. Patrick Healy involved, and he's going to easily go a lap down, maybe an additional lap down. It's hard to say. Right now, as it stands, only 16 drivers on the lead lap. Tim Terry, the last of those drivers on the lead lap right now, as you got a couple of drivers, including a couple of your leaders coming down pit road. Keith Mack will come down pit road. It looks like 27 machine will come down pit road as well. In fact, a lot of your leaders now, attention, they're cruising Ronnie McKay and as well.
Yeah, Ronnie McKay is going to lead him down the pit lane, and I was just going to mention that could bite Jake Goodwin because he would have to be starting on the outside lane. The 22 of Mack is going to beat the 03 of Ronnie McKay off the pit lane. Ronnie McKay looking like he's going to take 4 fresh tires, so a long pit stop for the 03 machine. He's going to go to the tail end of this lead lap, but he will have those fresh tires. Jake Goodwin does not pit, so he doesn't have to worry about being starting on the outside of row number 1 because he is going to go up to the race lead and complete the transition from 23rd, and he's currently back up, sitting in the first spot.
So Jake Goodwin will inherit the lead as a result of those pit stops. Ricky Arbeau second, Stephen Matthews third, Kevin Walker fourth, and Stephen Arsenault rounding out your top 5. Most of your leaders that we've been seeing exchanging positions up at the front, all electing for at least tires and probably a little bit of safety fuel to make sure they go all the way. Jake Goodwin, Ricky Arbeau, they elected to stay out during that time. That could affect their strategy, and it could affect their abilities. As everybody knows, 4 new tires run a whole lot better and ultimately a whole lot quicker than 4 old ones.
Yeah, for sure, but we've seen the strength in the 48. He's able to get back up to the number 1 spot in less than 100 laps, Joe. And again, this isn't 150 laps like we're used to. They got 250 on the board. So these guys still got in the range of about 170 laps to go in this thing. Still a long time. So we could easily see the guys that did not pit this time make a cycle, all of them together on an upcoming caution flag, and they'll be right back on the straight and Saturday, and it's going to come down to when they do that, do the guys with fresh tires come down with them, or do those guys go down and then they'll have the advantage on the tires. So there's so many ways that this can go, and with a long race, there's so many ways that this can unfold, so we just have to keep an eye on this tire strategy. Lights are off on that new-looking iRacing Ford First Racing Mustang pace car up at the front of the field, and we're getting ready for the green flag.
The 48 of Jake Goodwin, the 61 of Ricky Arbeau, they will do battle as the pace car will make its way down pit road at the conclusion of turn number 4. Your points leaders tied for the first place in points. They will drop the hammer quick, and Jake Goodwin, 98 machine, almost loses it. Stephen Matthews almost loses it on the restart. He's able to get back in line and get back in competition, but almost tragedy for him as he almost lost it. The 48 and 61, though, they drop the hammer quick. Jake Goodwin on the inside has the advantage. Ricky Arbeau to second, and now a whole lot of drivers looking for position behind him.
Side by side back for the 10th spot. The 02 machine of Christopher Garnett is on the outside. 34 of Rido's around him. 51 of Gaiman's around him. The 15 machine of Mackenzie Brewer is around him. And now the 03 of Ronnie McKay is back to his inside. So the 02 machine going to get freight trained on that top lane and lose almost a dozen spots, and really hard break for him. He's going to go all the way to the back. We're bumper to bumper up front, though. Joe, caution flag is going to fly. Trouble on the racetrack. 0-0 of Martin Landry is back into the outside wall.
05, the 22, the 34 also get around as well as a result of some very hard racing. Todd Cousins involved, Mike Rhino involved, Keith Mack all get a piece of that incident. The 15 gets a shot as well. 3 cars with heavy damage to their sleds. The 34 heavy front and rear end damage. The 22 looks like he's got a little bit of front end damage as well. And the Todd Cousins machine is going to come down pit road with heavy. No, he's going to stay out for heavy front end damage on that 05 Cousins towing and recovery machine. He might need a Cousins tower to come help him out when it's all said and done. Starting with the 22, looks like he just tried to make the move on the 05, getting underneath on the apron. Didn't work out for the 05 or the 22 as both of them make contact, spin around, and that is going to bunch them up. 3 cars now with heavy damage. 3 cars looking for a way to try to get back in this race as a result of that heavy contact.
Yeah, we saw 2 incidents there. We saw the 22 of Mack get into the 05. Those guys piled him in, and then there was another incident back in the pack behind all these guys involving the 16 machine, the 75 of Terry, and then the 00 Martin Landry as well. So 2 incidents on opposite ends of the racetrack going to occur, and that's going to bring us under the yellow flag. So a lot of torn up sheet metal, and that's why the pit lane is real busy down there.
Pit lane, always a very busy place, and a lot of guys selecting to come down to their attention, their crews. Mackenzie Brewer will be down there. Nathan Doherty, who was involved in an earlier incident, comes down. Martin Landry takes a free opportunity to come down and try to improve his position on that car down there. And now a lot of guys in interesting positions and interesting situations as a result of that incident. Jake Goodwin and Ricky Arbeau remain in the front of this field as a result of that, but a whole bunch of drivers now scattered about as a result of that incident. Stephen Arsenault 5th, Carter Wilson in 6th. Mike Rhino retains position number 7. Kyle Gammon now in the top 10. Christopher Garnett finds himself in the top 10. Tim Terry just on the outside looking in despite the damage. Ronnie McKay, though, he's all the way back in position number 14, and don't look now, but it looks like he's got a little bit of front-end damage on that 03 machine.
And that's one of the risks that you take by starting back there in the pack. And he was right around where all those guys stacked them on in. And the 03, that front end is really torn up on his machine, so something to keep an eye on. Lights are off at a Ford First Racing Mustang pace car. We're going to be getting ready to go back to the green flag. Question is going to be, how well does the 61 of Ricky Arbeau menace the outside of that front row? And can he hang on, or how many spots does he lose? Can he hold off the 98, maybe slide in line?
The 48, the 61, your points leaders once again getting ready to drop the hammer. Pace cars out of the way, green flag back on the field, and the 61 trying it on the outside for the first time tonight. He's going to get right side by side with a 48. No grip on the outside, no help on the outside. He will be forced to drop back, but not without a fight. Jake Goodwin once again back in control of this field. Stephen Matthews behind him, and now the 27's around in turn 4.
The 54's in the grass, the 5 is in it. They're going to pile them on it. A big incident. 02 has damage, 13 has damage. The 51 is in it as well, and pretty much stacked them on in there. The incident is going to be started with the 51 of Kyle Gateman going up the racetrack, getting into Carter Wilson in the corner, and those guys went around, and guys trying to avoid it. The 02 gets collected, 13 gets pinned up on the outside wall, nowhere to go, and a bunch of cars getting get torn up in that one as well, back under the yellow, Joe.
At least 4 cars involved, and it looks like Ronnie McKay might have gotten a piece of that one as well. 4 cars definitely having some trouble, maybe even 5. We'll have to see if we can count the carnage when we return. Let's go ahead and step away from the microphones, take a quick commercial break. You are watching ETV Live's live coverage of the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 live from Langley Speedway. Stay tuned, race fans. More racing action after this. Number 48 of Jake Goodwin will restart in the front as the pace car makes his way out of the way. We're back to Green Flag Racing at the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 part of the Maritime iRacing League live from Langley Speedway on ETV Live. Jake Goodwin hits the hammer one more time, and he is going on Green Flag Racing on lap 95. Stephen Matthews immediately behind in second. Ricky Arbeau third. Kevin Walker, Travis Roma rounding out your top 10. But don't look now. Here comes Ronnie McKay. He is madder than a wet hand. He is looking for position, and he is looking to dig it for it in a big way. Dispatches Tim Terry. He is now in the top 7 and looking for more.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of front end damage on that machine, but it doesn't look like it's affected him at a good way at this extent in the race. So he's still going fine and looking to charge back up to the front. Can anybody challenge Jake Goodwin in the number 1 spot? Stephen Matthews tonight. We got a big group of cars around 12:55 machine. He's going to go to the inside of the 0202, dropping back. That's Christopher Garnett on the outside lane, and 51 picks up a little bit of damage in that. That's Kyle Gaiman 1 lap down. Those guys all around this 10th, 12th position are trying to sort things out. Meanwhile, back up front again, Jake Goodwin. Everybody's trying to challenge him, but he's opened up a 6/10 of a second lead over 98 Matthews right now, looking untouchable up front.
Mike Rhino with heavy front end damage on that 34 Ford EcoBoost machine. He's going to just run laps at this point, knowing that it may be a futile effort for him. He's more than a lap down as we speak, 2 laps down for the 34 machine. So right now he's just biding time, letting Ronnie McKay by, but giving the bad guy Tim Terry a little bit harder time getting around him. Meanwhile, back up front, 3 clean cars continue to lead. Jake Goodwin in first, Steve Matthews second. Now Ricky Arbeau is going to get around. Yes, he is. He's going to loop it. 61, Ricky Arbeau loops it in turn 4, able to save it. No yellow flag out, but that's going to cost him a lot of position.
He's going to drop all the way back to the 8th position as Tim Terry in the 75 is going to get around him. Good job by all those guys to migrate up to the top lane and not get into it, but he fought and he tried to save that 61, and he realized that it was past the point of recovery, spun that thing around at 360, got right back on the gas pedal, and a strong recovery for the 61. Yeah, he's going to lose about 6 spots, but it's better than being in the fence. So Ricky Arbeau back to square one, and the 61 machine is going to be in the 8th position. Now, he initially made it up to the front after starting 19th, so the 61 machine definitely capable of getting back up front. Talk about the front 98 machine of Matthews challenging with Jake Goodwin on his back bumper.
Jake Goodwin continues to lead. Stephen Matthews on his back bumper, trying to compete with him. Kevin Walker in third, just kind of watching everything happen as it were. And give a shout to Travis Roma right now, coming from through the back of the field, through the middle of the field. He's going to now sit in position number 4, watching everything happening in front of him. Stephen Arsenault as well in the top 5. Both those drivers doing incredibly well, and it looks like Arsenault, the 52 machine, running an incredibly clean, unsponsored machine out there. So Stephen Arsenault really stepping up his game here tonight for the Triple Crown. He may not be in a position to win it, but at least he wants to have a good showing while he's out there. Ronnie McKay now in position number 6, and it looks like it's going to be Tim Terry in 8th. Ricky Arbeau 7th. Arbeau needs a yellow flag to get him bunched up and see if he can't get him back through. Smoke on the track, and I'm not sure why, but it's never a good sign.
Contact up front, 98 of Matthews, into the back bumper of Jake Goodwin. He's going to throw it down on the apron, can't get it there this time. Now into turn number 3, Stephen Matthews continuing to battle with race leader Jake Goodwin in the 48. He wants that number 1 spot. However, he's unable to get it. It looks like the 98 is able to get to the back bumper of Goodwin, but can't do anything with it. This time, coming up out of the corner, has a little bit of a run. 48 continues to shut the door into 3 and 4.
The 48 of Jake Goodwin right now, he knows what's at stake for him. A Triple Crown win is in stake for him. The Triple Crown Series Championship is at stake for him. Also at stake for him, that's $16 promised by Cousins Towing and Recovery. So a lot of things going on the mind of Jake Goodwin right now. The only thing he knows right now is he cannot give up that first position under any circumstances. He continues to run hard. The 98 machine still back on his back bumper. Stephen Matthews, I do believe Stephen Matthews did come down pit road earlier when you saw a lot of your leaders come down. He's got newer tires. The 48 does not, and now those new older tires might be hurting the 48.
Stephen Matthews also has a shot at this championship with the Triple Crown, 8 points out, so it's going to be a long shot if he wants to get it, but he's still in contention, so don't think that he's going to back down to Jake Goodwin, because he's just going to battle him just as hard, because they're both going to be going for that title. The 48 to Goodwin, you mentioned all that's on the line. He's got back up to the front of the field. The one way to guarantee that he's not going to lose the Triple Crown is win this race, and that's something that he's been unable to do this season, but he's knocked off all top 3 so far to this point. Yellow flag going to fly now. Trouble on the track. That could be the one that Ronnie McKay was looking for, and they're going to pile him in. It's a parking lot at a 355. A Foster is in the grass. 22 machines down there as well. Keith Mack, one of the championship contenders involved.
The 55 makes heavy contact with the 13 machine. Tracy Foster makes contact with the 13 of David Cassidy. The the MIRL machine, racing radio machine of David Cassidy. Keith Mack, the Zigzag Man, also involved in that one as well. But the one guy who made it out, the close shave of the night, has to go to Ricky Arbeau. Hits the brakes perfectly in time to get out of that melee, and now he's going to come down pit road, get new tires, and check it out just in case anything might be wrong with that 61 machine. Also getting out the attention of his crew, the 03, the 98, the 48, and now the 61 missed his pit stall. The 61 of Arbeau missed his pit stall. That's going to hurt him.
He's going to have to go back around. You talk about that incident with the 55 Tracy Foster, and he was around and tried to get off the racetrack, and evidently that's what gave the damage to the 13 and the 22 machine as he was trying to get off of the racing surface and try to clear the track. Jake Goodwin going to be the first machine to leave the pit road, or rather he's going to beat the 52 machine off as more guys come down for some more damage. 02, 16 going to come down, try to get their machines fixed. So pit road, as it's been all night, is a busy, busy place. 13 drivers to this extent remain on the lead lap.
16 drivers, and each of them still have a shot at going, as we haven't even crossed the halfway point here at Langley Speedway. For all you MIRL fans, let's go ahead and show you something really cool that you're going to start seeing here in the Maritime iRacing League races. If you look on the from the hood, the windshield of the 75 of Tim Terry, you're going to see right there the brand new hood or windshield visor that each of these drivers are going to be running with the start of the race from in a couple of weeks' time, I believe. You've got the Maritime iRacing League logo on there. You've got the Double Clutch logo on there, and of course, timscorner.ca, one of the iconic sponsor in this race, bringing the Maritime iRacing League all together. A lot of cool changes coming to the Maritime iRacing League, and this is what excites me about this. This is turning into one of the premier late model leagues on iRacing.
You were talking about the banner there above that windshield, and something that the drivers can customize with this new super late model build. They can also choose actually on the iRacing website, if they don't have a custom paint scheme, they can stamp whatever manufacturer they want. If you want to be Chevy, Ford, Toyota, and some guys obviously doing their work in the Photoshop and creating their own personal machines. You see some Pontiacs out there on the racetrack and stuff, but that windshield banner is going to be mandatory here in a couple weeks. Double file in 3 and 4 pace car up at the front of the field, going to dive down to the pit lane. 35 of Kevin Walker back to the green flag. They're going to get stacked up on the inside 38 machine with a wiggle. Travis Roma able to hang on to the one.
So Kevin Walker will now be in control of this field. Tim Terry unhappy with how his car is running, but he's got to be happy with being in position number 2 right now. Looks like he's holding up a little bit of traffic behind him, but they're going to continue to run as hard as they can. The 27 now in 3rd. Jake Goodwin back in 4th. Yellow flag out once again on the field.
The 5 machine of Patrick Healy is in the outside wall with the 51 machine as well, and it's going to be the 51 that is the first one into the wall, but not necessarily the instigator and all of this. They just got real stacked up into the corner. The 34 machine going to get into the wall after going 3 wide. That caused the 5 to check up. 51 avoids it, gets tapped from the 00 up into the 00, and all 3 of those machines going to get a heavy hit and back under yellow.
So really 5 cars involved in this one, all starting around the 34 machine after getting the wiggle from the 5. The 51 nowhere to go, and now heavy smoke pouring out of the 51 machine of Kyle Gammon. His night is going to be over as a result of that incident. Patrick Healy continues to run, albeit his car banged up in so many places I can't even count. Keith Mack will get the wave around the pace car this time by. He will be the lucky dog. Keith Mack getting back on the lead lap. 12 drivers will remain on the lead lap, and guess what? We're just barely over halfway. We'll be halfway done when we go back to green flag racing. I think the pace car now might be turning as many laps as some of these drivers out here.
Yeah, it's almost a survival of the fittest style race, and that's what you expect. I mean, when you put these guys on the track for 250 laps, I mean, we know that these short track guys, they like to go for it, and that's why they maybe favor the 150 lap races, Joe, because then that changes our whole scenario. We're coming down to 25 to go. Throw another 100 laps in there, we're just approaching the halfway point in this thing, so it really has to make these guys adjust, and they almost want to take it a little bit easier, but at the same time, with more cars and a longer race, you're going to have longer time to get in trouble. So it's going to make these guys maybe want to go a little bit more aggressive, stay up front, and I think that could be one of the factors that is attributed to the spur of yellow flags. Yellow breed yellow. So, I mean, these guys really haven't had the opportunity to get a lot of green flag racing in, but not even halfway. I'm sure they can still string something out here, and still a good racing in store for us, as there's still 12 drivers on the lead lap well in contention to take this thing home, and some of the guys upside, even in the top 5, have damage, so there's no telling who's going to walk away and checker flag.
In a regular event here in the Maritime iRacing League, this race would be over as soon as they cross the stripe, but this is no regular event. This is with the Triple Crown, one of the 3 Triple Crown events, the third of the 3 Triple Crown events. The 35 and 75 will restart on the front row, all with hopes and dreams of being able to finish this race with a championship, Triple Crown championship intact. Base car lights are off. Kevin Walker will restart in front. Tim Terry, with the same amount of fuel and tires he started the race with, will be position number 2. Jake Goodwin, who took the challenge, position number 3. Ronnie McKay, who led most of the laps from open this race, position number 4. And Mackenzie Brewer now finds his way into position number 5. Halfway through when we cross the start-finish line, and still anybody's race, Evan.
Green flag is going to fly. We're going to see who gets it. 75 machine. Tim Terry does not get going. 03 is going to dive to the inside. That's Ronnie McKay. Ronnie McKay is going to get around him for that position, as up front they're going to single file out, still side by side, as Tim Terry in the 75 machine has a lot of company, and I mean that thing is torn up. 61 is going to get around him this time by 05 machine on his inside as well. That's Todd Cousins in the title sponsor machine on the bottom, and now more company coming to the inside with a 98 Steve Matthews.
Kevin Walker remains in front. Jake Goodwin, remember, he took that challenge, the pole challenge. He's now sitting on $10.50 if he can pass meanwhile, 15 around. Big wreck involved.
15, Mackenzie Brewer is going to get a little bit of assistance around from the 05 of Cousins, and 98's in it, 27's in it, 75 of Tim Terry able to get around, 52 around, 16 gets some damage, and a whole bunch of junked race cars in that incident. Tracy Foster going to go around as well. Joe, another big incident coming out of the corner, and going to take out a lot of our lead lappers.
All starting around the 15 machine of Mackenzie Brewer, gets help from the 05 of Todd Cousins, and it's a chain reaction from there. The 98 involved, the 27, the 15, the 05 has heavy damage. The 55 goes around by himself as a result, and the 52 of Stefan Arsenault, he might have got the TV curse, because we were talking about him, how strong he was running, how good he was looking out there. And that kind of ended very quickly for Stephen Arsenault being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Halfway done here at Langley Speedway. Let's go ahead and stop down for a commercial break. Kevin Walker in the lead of the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 from Langley Speedway. Can he hold on, or will Jake Goodwin walk away with the big prize? Only time will tell. Stay tuned, race fans. More MIRL action coming to you live from Langley Speedway after this on ETV Live.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, a green Sally down.
The 35 of Kevin Walker will have to fight off the 48 of Jake Goodwin as they get ready to restart on lap 135. Time running out at the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 from Langley Speedway, part of the Maritime iRacing League, racing on ETV Live. And Kevin Walker, wasting no time, dropping the hammer. He can retain position number 1. Now battle for position all the way around him. Ronnie McKay picks up position number 2. Jake Goodwin in 3rd. And here comes Ricky Arbeau on the outside. But can he hold on?
He's got the 38 machine to his inside, and now 61 dropping 22 machine. Keith Max is going to get around him. The 05 of Todd Cousins now to his inside, and it seems like the 61 of Arbeau has been stuck on that top lane so many times on these restarts, and it is just so hard to get in line until these guys spread out a little bit, and now he's able to shuffle himself back into that single file lane in the 7th spot. He's going to lose a lot of ground. Meanwhile, up front, it's all the 35 machine. Kevin Walker out to a 2nd lead over Ronnie McKay in 2nd.
And Kevin Walker starting to show some of his quiet strength here at Langley Speedway in the Childhood Cancer Canada purple and white machine. He's got a good season brewing for him right now. Currently 4th in points, an average start of 4th, average finish of 5th. Kevin Walker building his season on consistency, but you know what? A Triple Crown win certainly would not hurt his campaign. Kevin Walker up front, now Ronnie McKay holding on to position number 2. Jake Goodwin in the 48 and 3rd. The 38 almost loses it as he crosses a stripe. Travis Romo 4th. Keith Mack rounds out your top 5.
They continue to shuffle positions over all single file. The top 5 have a little bit of a breakaway. Kevin Walker continuing to pull away. However, at the front of the field, his lead is going to extend from about 1 second now to nearly 2 over Ronnie McKay, and then it's nearly almost another 1.5 seconds from Ronnie McKay back to Jake Goodwin. However, Jake Goodwin in the 48 machine has been so fast all night long. Scoring an update this time by the stripe. Jake Goodwin within half a second of Ronnie McKay in the 2nd position, so I don't think we're too far away from seeing a battle for P2.
Let's go in car with a 48 of Jake Goodwin now as you see him starting to reel in that 0-3 machine of Ronnie McKay. And visually, to me, the biggest difference between the 48 of Goodwin and the 0-3 of Ronnie McKay is that the 48 does not have the same front-end damage that the 0-3 does. It doesn't matter, though. The 0-3 is turning that thing on a dime, and Ronnie McKay really showing his strength. He was your Winter Series champ, the 2013 Winter Series champion here in the Maritime iRacing League. So if anybody can take a battered, beaten car and turn it into something special, it's going to be Ronnie McKay in the 0-3.
Question is going to be, can he, however, hold off the all-impressive Jake Goodwin? Again, Jake Goodwin is still searching for his first win on this season, and you take a look at the results that he's had, and it's almost unbelievable that he hasn't made it to victory lane, but he's still looking for that and is looking for it. However, yellow flag, I do believe, going to fly after trouble on a racetrack. We're going to slow him back down. And we're gonna try to get eyes on that caution, Joe, but we're gonna group him back up, and it just seems like that Kevin Walker, he keeps trying to pull away, but yellow flag's gonna fly, and he's gonna find that 48 now, right on his back bumper when we come for the ensuing restart. It looks like the 75 machine had some trouble in front.
That's what happens when you end up wearing the black hat here at the Maritime iRacing League. Bad things tend to happen to you. Tim Terry involved in the 2nd incident tonight. Coming off turn 4, had a great run, just got impeded by, it looks like, the 15 machine. Yes, that's going to be the 15 of Mackenzie Brewer. Runs straight in the back of the 15 machine. Mackenzie Brewer gets out scot-free, but Tim Terry turns it around, goes rear end first into the wall, and that is going to hurt an even more hurt and beat up 75 Swan Racing late model. The Swan on the hood not doing a whole lot to help Tim's campaign right now.
And he keeps saying that he's going to take the Swan off the hood of that thing, but he never does.
He keeps threatening. He keeps threatening to take the Swan off, saying it's bad luck, it doesn't work. You know, let's just ask him about that real quick here. Let's see if we can dial him up here on the in-car radio. Hey, Tim, it's Joe. You got me, buddy?
Hey, what's going on?
Tim, real quick, every week it seems like you run that Swan, and every week it seems to bite you.
I don't know what happened there on that last caution. I think the 15, I'll have to look at the replay. I kind of felt like the 15 kind of parked it off turn 4 and I had nowhere to go. But Yeah, it's been a rough night. The team told me that we have no tires in the pit except for our left rear, so I can't pit. So I had to come down and get a left rear if I want to. But no, these tires don't fall off a whole lot, Joe. And we're looking just to bring it home and what we can, and we're going to Florida next week. So we're trying to bring it home what we can.
So what it sounds like is you're looking for new sponsors, and the Swan is negotiable.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. But we'll see what happens here. We're getting ready to go green, so we'll see if we can bring this thing home and possibly get the free pass. I don't know how that trapped us a lap down, but we'll see what we can do.
Base car lights are off. To find out more about Tim and everything he does, go to timscorner.ca. Tim, the bad guy, Terry, will restart towards the back of the field. Right now, they're double filing up one more time. Kevin Walker, Ronnie McKay start on the front row. Jake Goodwin, Travis Rona behind him. Keith Mack, Ricky Arbeau, Carter Wilson, David Cassidy, Todd Cousins, Mackenzie Brewer. Your top 10 as the pace car pulls off, and it will be the Kevin Walker Show one more time. And the restart is exactly what the 48 needed. Jake Goodwin back in position number 2, and now you know he's looking for position number 1.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits that he's going to get of starting on that inside lane, and he's only about a car length or two off of Kevin Walker's back bumper as everybody continues to negotiate. 61 in the 6th spot. That's Ricky Arbeau again, continuing to find himself trapped on the outside lane, hanging tough with the 27 to Carter Wilson at this time into turn number 3. 61 is going to be stuck up there. Can the 05 of Cousins get to the inside? No. So Ricky Arbeau, after moving up under that yellow flag, is going to have to drop right back to where he was, back in 7th position, needing to try to find some inside lanes and then be able to work his way back up in this field. Meanwhile, up front, Kevin Walker pulling away a little bit from Jake Goodwin.
Jake Goodwin in a great position right now, looking at walking away with $10.50 if the race were to end right now. But more importantly, he would walk away wearing the Triple Crown as a result of a solid second place finish. But you know he wants to finish third. Lap 155 being scored on the books. 96 left to go. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not another late model or a yellow flag. Though I shouldn't be so quick to say that, as anything can still happen here at Langley Speedway.
Even when these guys are single filed out, I mean, we've seen that treacherous turn before that you touched on the top of the show, and that's caught a couple of people, little guys making some contact throughout the field. We got a battle going on for the 4th spot, side by side. 22 of Keith Mack to the inside of Travis Roma. He's going to get that spot. Roma comes back down looking for the crossover. He's going to check up, and Keith Mack now able to hang on to 4th.
Keith Mack was involved in an incident earlier, and now he's fighting his way back through the field. Remember, Keith Mack is one of the guys battling for that Triple Crown. Keith Mack, I believe, was 4th in Triple Crown points when we left. He's only 4 points behind Jake Goodwin, 2 points behind Ronnie McKay. So Keith Mack, if something were to happen to Jake Goodwin, Keith Mack could very easily be the heir apparent.
Yeah, I mean, this championship battle is still far from over here, as again, all those guys within about 4 points of each other right now. Jake Goodwin, he's sitting in the 2nd position, doing what he needs to do. He's in front of McKay, he's in front of Alexander, he's in front of Keith Mack and Stephen Matthews. So if the 48 can hang tough in the 2nd position, he's able to get this thing wrapped up. However, he's not driving up past Kevin Walker like some people might have expected. Kevin Walker in the 35 holding his own with a 5/10 of a second lead over Goodwin, which means that 48 machine is not untouchable and somebody else can easily get around him. Now, in order to look back to the 3rd place car, next car behind Goodwin's nearly 2 seconds back. That's Ronnie McKay at the 03 machine along with Keith Mack at the 22, 2 of those Triple Crown championship contenders.
Kevin Walker in position number 1. Kevin Walker 4th in points. We won't be able to get the points lead as a result of a first place finish tonight, but it would certainly put a big boost to his championship opportunities. Jake Goodwin 2nd, Ronnie McKay 3rd, Keith Mack 4th, Ricky Arbeau rounding out your top 5. And the 27 now goes around, and that's going to bring out that caution flag once again. Carter Wilson, who was running strong in your top 10. He is going to have some problems in the big Sequoia Brewing machine. He's going to get back out front. He's going to get back, turn around, but that is going to bring out the yellow flag nonetheless, which means one thing: another restart is pending.
And it's almost a toss of the coin here. 27 goes around. That's going to bring out the yellow flag, and that outside lane cannot work. We've seen guys try and they can stay side by side, but give them a lap or two and they just don't have what those guys on the inside does on corner exits. So we've seen it with guys like Ricky Arbo. We've seen Jake Goodwin have some trouble with that. That is getting stuck on the top lane. Jake Goodwin's in second. He's going to be put up to the top of that first row, which means Ronnie McKay in the 03 has a good chance of getting around him.
He definitely has a chance to get around him and definitely has a chance to make some moves. Looks like we are getting a real treat here in the booth tonight. We are joined by the Cowboy himself, JD Webb. And JD, we've seen... I don't really have a lot of words to say what we've seen tonight, but it's definitely been something.
You know what? I love the short track stuff. Even with all the cautions, I just feel that this is what you pay to come to see. You know, I mean, these guys have been duking it out here all night long for the last 165 laps. Been a hell of a night. Hey, I just wanted to throw a shout out to some of the folks that are watching, like Dante Curtis in the house, Brandon Wilkinson tuning in. He's watching. And I think I saw Dylan Duvall, Jeremy Seeley tuning in and watching here tonight. Carson Obb, I think I pronounced that name right. He started the race, unfortunately tangled with the wall. He's tuning in and watched the finish of the race here tonight. So just wanted to give a shout out to all these guys. And hey, enjoy the rest of the race, guys. And Evan and Joe, it's good to hear your voices back on ETV Motorsports Live. And I'll go back downstairs and join John.
Before you leave, though, JD, let's talk about ETV Live, the new future for ETV Motorsports Live. This is soon to be the home of everything short track racing, both in iRacing and in the real world, which is a very exciting position to be for ETV Motorsports Live.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. I'll tell you what, Season 2 coming around, just around the corner here. We're teamed up with the Double Clutch organization, going to bring you some really hot short track racing here on ETV Motorsports Live. That's the focus for 2014. So keep checking the website over there, etv-entertainment.com, for more information. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be a hell of a season here just shortly. We get things organized and they get fired up here. So if you love short track, this will be the place to be.
Keep it here for all your short track racing. etv-entertainment.com, your home for short track racing in 2014. These car lights are off. One more to go. Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin on the front row. Ricky Arbo, Stephen Matthews in second row. Green flag flies, and Kevin Walker gets the big jump one more time. Jake Goodwin closes the door on Ricky Arbo. Jake Goodwin has winning on his mind, and he will not be denied. 13 machine now in trouble as he gets passed by the 22 and company. Looks like a clean restart. Travis Roma stays in the top 5, but all eyes are on the top 3. Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin, and Ricky Arbo.
Yeah, Jake Goodwin, he was able to get into that second position and able to hold off those guys on the inside lane. So 48 got what he needed to get doing there on that restart, but those guys really stacked up behind him, which contributed to that. Those guys all single filed out now, but they were too wide, about 3-4 rows deep, coming through 3 and 4 on that lap that we just went back green on. So they're able to negotiate that. Jake Goodwin up front, he's doing a solid effort, but Kevin Walker is just hitting his marks in that 35 machine, and qualified in the 5th position, was the 7th fastest in the practice. So 35 machine, he's not been a sleeper so far this race, but he's really come to life in the second half of this thing.
So Kevin Walker holds position number 1, the sleeper. The dark horse might rise once again. Jake Goodwin, though, wants to be the guy that ruins Cinderella's night at the ball. Jake Goodwin continues to run second, but just doesn't seem to have enough yet to pass Kevin Walker, or he's biding his time like a cat and mouse game. Ricky Arbo, you got to give a shout to him. He's been running strong all night. Now sitting in position number 3, Travis Roma back in the mix. He'll be in position number 4, and Stephen Matthews now finds his way back in the top 5. Also notable in your top 10, Steve Mack 6, Ronnie McKay 7th, Stephen Arsenal, Todd Cousins, Mackenzie Brewer rounding out your top 10, and hopefully they've worked some of the bugs out. We can have a long green flag run to finish the race tonight.
12 machines remaining on the lead lap at this point, Joe, so nothing is said and done, and many of those guys are those guys that are contending for this Triple Crown Championship that wraps up this evening. You also got to keep in mind, though, you don't want to go too hard for that, and hurt yourself in the overall season points as well. So 2 things to keep an eye on this evening as we have passed the 175 mark. So within 75 laps to go, things starting to wind down. Jake Goodwin continuing to stalk his prey about 0.3 of a second off the back bumper of Kevin Walker. These guys probably just looking to ride some laps, log them, and just kind of cruise and get to those final 50, 25 laps, and then I think we'll see things pick up.
Mackenzie Brewer in the 15 machine, currently running 10th. He's got the 27 of Carter Wilson behind him. Wilson 1 lap down on the field. So even passing the 15 won't help his campaign, but the 15 certainly appreciating the push given by the 27. Mike Rhino currently scored as the first car 1 lap down. He will run behind the 05 of Todd Cousins, running the Cousins towing and recovery machine. Earlier I said he might need one of those towers to look to get him back to pit road, but no, despite having a little bit of right side damage on the 05 machine, he is running still very strong and still looking for a top 10 finish as a result of this race. One driver that is going to need a little help though is Ronnie McKay, currently sitting position number 7, the 52 of Steven Arsenault, immediately on his back bumper. Ronnie McKay needs a little help if he wants to come back and win the Triple Crown tonight.
Yeah, Ronnie McGann, the 03, he's sitting in the 7th spot. He's in the inside now with the 30 in Aroma, so side by side for position number 6. And with the inside lane, 03 is going to take it with ease, so move Ronnie McKay up to the 6th position. He needs a couple more spots, but more importantly, he needs to be in front of the 48 when it comes down to these Triple Crown points, and he's still a long way to do it, but it looks like we're starting to shape up here for a green flag run as everybody on the lead lap pretty spread out. Kevin Walker opening up a 0.4 of a second lead over Goodwin, and it's no longer 3 cars up front, it's 2, because the distance between Goodwin and Arbeau now, the 2nd and 3rd place machines, has been extended to about 1.5 seconds, so Kevin Walker in first has a 2-second gap over that 3rd place machine to 61 of Arbeau.
George White getting past 4. It looks like the 11th time tonight. He will go 11 laps down as your leaders. Nobody else around them. They are on an island by themselves. The 5-cheer Patrick Healy might be in trouble. He goes high, allows the 61 to go around him. Patrick Healy now lets the 00 Martin Landry go around him as well. That's the Autism Speaks machine, the 00 Martin Landry. He's still several laps down, though. Ricky Arbeau now dispatching the 072 of George White. So Ricky Arbeau remains in the top 3, but all eyes, and really the entire race now, focused on your top 2, Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin. They are in an island by themselves right now. These 2 drivers, nothing else around them. All it is man versus man, machine versus machine, and this will really come down to being a test of who can control this super late model best. Remember, this is the first official race run with the super late model for the Maritime iRacing League, and more importantly, this is the first televised race, the first televised test of the super late model machine. Evan, what do you think of the racing you're seeing with it so far?
They're looking very competitive, and again, these things look sharp and they sound sharp, but I've only heard positive feedback from everybody on iRacing, and I picked this thing up the day it came out, and there was a lot of anticipation and a lot of excitement when the news came out that these things were going to be released, that Eddie Walls get a double crutch clue that is very important here at ETV. They were a very big part in getting these things onto sim, so these things are very sharp, and we've seen it tonight that although we've had our share of cautions for sure, it's all been mainly from racing incidents. It's very hard track for these guys, and I mean, look at the battle that's going on up front. These guys are in a deadlock up front. They're not gaining on each other. They're not losing on each other, so it's really going to force the drivers to have to try to make something work.
Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin, 0.3 of a second between them as they continue to turn laps here at Langley Speedway. Currently scoring lap 193, getting closer and closer to that 25 to go mark. And I almost have to wonder what the strategy is behind the 48 machine right now. He's got the Triple Crown on his mind. He's got the points lead on his mind. And he's got the Cousins towing and recovery bonus on his mind as well, trying to look for that extra $16 to add to his pocket because he started at the tail end of this field. So I'm going to ask this, Evan, as a driver, at what point when you're Jake Goodwin, do you say it's go time and start really fighting Kevin Walker for the lead?
You talk about this racetrack, it's about 0.4 of a mile. I think you're going to have to wait till you get to within 30 to go. It depends how much ground you lose, though. He's back to 0.5 of a second off Walker. If he's trying to hold on to his car and, make it survive to the end, he just had a really bad exit at a turn 2. So he's got to keep the gauge on how far he drops back, but he's going to want to wait down till those times. Keep in mind, Jake Goodwin has finished a runner-up to the same guy in the opening 2 races so far this season. So not only is he looking for the bonus, not only is he looking for the Triple Crown Championship, he also really wants this win.
He wants that win in a big way. How bad does he want it? We will have to see. Jake Goodwin and the 35 of Kevin Walker now starting to get quagmired by lap traffic to get around the 0-2 machine of Christopher Garnett. They get behind the 0-5 of Todd Cousins. Now the 55 they will dispatch with these. That's Tracy Foster. The lap traffic starting to count down very, very, very quickly. The next car about to go a lap down is the 15 machine. That's Mackenzie Brewer right in front of your leaders. Mackenzie Brewer does not want to give up that position because that could benefit him if we have another restart, which is definitely possible, but he may not have a choice. The 35 and 48, both just terribly strong. They might dispatch. They look like they're getting ready to dispatch Mackenzie Brewer in the next 2 turns.
Yeah, Kevin Walker's going to go to the inside. Yellow flag going to fly, though. Trouble on the racetrack. 0-0. The 03 has damage. One more car around on the apron. That's the 5 of Patrick Healy. And we're back under the yellow flag, Joe. And a very abrupt incident out of the corner. 13 machine was very slow at a racing surface. He got into it with the 03, or the 5 rather, gets collected in it, and a saving grace almost for Mackenzie Brewer. He's going to remain on the lead lap, and we're under the yellow flag. Going to group them up now within 50 to go.
And now, if you are the Mackenzie Brewer team, you're sending a gift basket to the 52 machine of Stefan Arsenault, getting in the back of the 03 to bring out that yellow flag and saving them from that destiny. Last minute service taking place on these cars. As they do that, let's go ahead and take our last minute service break here on ETV Motorsports Live. Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin, both battling for position, battling for the win. Which one will take it away? Stay tuned, race fans. We'll be back with the conclusion of the Maritime iRacing League's Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 live from Langley Speedway.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Green Sally up, green Sally down. Last done start, gotta tell the ground. Oh, Miss Lucy dead and gone, left me here to weep and moan.
Less than 50 to go here at Langley Speedway for the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250, part of the Maritime iRacing League, live on ETV Live. Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin on the front row. Stephen Matthews, Ricky Arbeau behind them. Anybody's race left to be had. The pace car lights are off, and this will be a barn burner of a finish to complete the Triple Crown of the Maritime iRacing League. Green flag flies, and once again, Kevin Walker shoots like a bullet out of a gun, and they continue to battle side by side behind him. Stephen Matthews now in third. Ricky Arbeau trying to hold on to fourth. Keith Mack battling for position. Keith Mack will get position number 4 and continuing to battle.
Side by side behind them for the 5th spot, 61 of our Boaz Company, 38 of Travis Roma. Gonna get around him for that position. They're gonna make that pass. Meanwhile, up front, we're hearing a little bit of trouble on the racetrack. 75 of Tim Terry's blowing up.
75 machine is blown up. He's now in the middle of the infield, taking the shortcut to his hauler. Tim Terry His night is done. It looks like he might have gotten involved with the 0-2 of Christopher Garnett as a result of that. So that's going to be a hard way to go out. Tim Terry not happy with that finish. We will talk to him at the end of the show as we always do, but I can't imagine anything polite coming out of his mouth right now.
For sure, that was that turn 4 that bit of last year. He talked about on the radio. They made it past that lap 9 mark, but unfortunately, I think that's his second time that turn 4 caught him, and he just clipped that inside wall there going into turn number 1 and just destroyed the engine on that number 75 machine. Meanwhile, up front, it's 0.3 of a second separating Kevin Walker from Jake Goodwin. Can Jake Goodwin get it done? They also have company. 98 of Steven Matthews is also in this picture, right behind Goodwin in the 3rd spot.
Kevin Walker continues to lead the 48. Got to start thinking about making some moves. Less than 40 to go at this point. Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin, still first and second. Steven Matthews now back in the picture. Keith Mack in the picture. Ricky Arbeau starting to drift away a little bit as he's got 2.4 seconds off the leader. So Ricky Arbeau, if he wants to retain the lead, the points lead, he's got to think of something in a hurry, and I don't think self-spinning is an option for him. Kevin Walker continues to lead. Jake Goodwin on his bumper. Now here comes a 98. It's turning into a 3-car battle with every lap.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a gap. The 4th place machine, the 22 with Keith Mack, who's been trying to get back up to the front of the race all race long. His drop back, he's 2 seconds back from these guys. So again, a 3-car breakaway. The 98 of Matthews is slowly slipping back, though 0.8 back of Walker and 5 back from Jake Goodwin. Goodwin and Kevin Walker have pretty much been 0.3 of a second away from each other the last 25 laps or so. Can Jake Goodwin get it done? Is he saving something for the end of this thing? We're inside of 40 laps to go. It's 35 to go actually, and will be 34 this time by the start-finish line. So Jake Goodwin, if you're him at the 48 machine, you're going to have to start picking it up if you're waiting, or is the 35 machine of Kevin Walker just that fast up front? Because I'm sure he's giving it his all. Lap traffic in front of them, 1 car around, yellow flag going to fly as 1 car down there on the apron having some trouble. The 00 is going to get into it again.
That's the Autism Speaks Chevy of Martin Landry. He's going to go around for the spin cycle one more time after it looks like it was contact with the 13 machine. That 13 belongs to David Cassidy, the Mirror Machine Racing radio machine of David Cassidy. Both those machines get a little piece of it. The 00 gets the worst of it as he spins around, and that will bring out the caution flag once again. And as we continue to run caution laps, the biggest recipient of these yellow flags, I've got to believe, is Kevin Walker in the 35 Childhood Cancer Canada machine. The more he leads under yellow and the more he continues to restart on the low side, the better it plays into his hand, the better it plays into his strategy. Wouldn't you agree, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, there's all these different variables, Joe, and I mean, we were talking about these guys that they were going to be good on fuel at the opening segment in this race, and we also said that's going to change, and you're starting to come down to it now where that's almost out of your control. Now, again, we have seen some guys give up lead positions in these races, the pit with limited cars on the lead lap. Take a look at the guys. We have 9 cars on the lead lap right now. Do we see someone throw something like that in here as we approach 25 to go, maybe at an upcoming caution? It's going to come down to, do you really think that those 4 fresh tires are going to be able to get you all the way back to the number 1 spot, be able to get there if there are yellows, though? Because, again, if you do that, your laps are going to be limited to get back up to the front and then try to drive away with this thing. It's just interesting to see how the 35 and 48 a good one. They are deadlocked in first and second. I mean, those guys have been 0.3 of a second away from each other. This whole after lap 200, they've been going at it for those positions. It looks like Goodwin can't really gain anything. Kevin Walker can't really pull away any more than that. He's not falling back. So look for the 48 again to try to get something going on the restart. However, he's going to be on the top of row number 1.
It will be just over 25 laps left to go when we come back to green flag racing. And I've got a feeling we're not done seeing yellow flags. As we said before, yellows breed yellows. And then there's the dangerous dip in turn number 4. That could definitely hurt these drivers. That could definitely make it a whole lot harder for them. All it takes is one hit of the dip, and you're going to go spinning around and around. And that is not how you want to finish this race. You want to finish the race hood going forward across the start finish line, not the tail end. That's not good. No bueno.
No, for sure. And these kind of races, they always say, when you go to those restrictor plate tracks that you don't have to finish with a car that's even all bolted together to win this thing. I think that more applies to short track racing. We've seen guys inside of the top 5 all night long with damage. Surprisingly, our 2 leaders looking pretty clean right now. 48 Goodwin looks like he might have a little bit of front and right damage, but other than that, these guys looking pretty stout up front, but I don't know if they're going to keep those fenders clean for too much longer. Get ready for another restart.
Kevin Walker wants to win it. Jake Goodwin wants it even more. Pace car gets out of the way. These 2 heavyweights about to go boxing one more time, and Kevin Walker gets the big jump to 48. He's going to get immediately on his back bumper, and we got a dogfight for first. Kevin Walker, Jake Goodwin, they continue to battle first and second. Kevin Walker, though, too strong up front. He is going to continue to lead with time ticking away.
48 Goodwin, 2/10 off, trying to pick up some more ground on the corner exit to within a car length. This time into the corner, Jake Goodwin in the 48 machine, digging hard. A quarter of a car length now, right on the back bumper of the 35 of Walker is Goodwin. This time by the stripe and through 1 and 2. The 48 is there on the back bumper. Does he make room to the inside? Jake Goodwin gonna stay in second for now, but bumper to bumper up front this time by 25 laps to go.
Kevin Walker remains up front. The number 48, Jake Goodwin, still fighting for position. Now Ricky Arbeau in third, Keith Mack fourth. Ronnie McKay under fire from Stephen Matthews for 5th and 6th. Stephen Arsenal, don't count him out yet. He's trying to get around the 98. The 27 of Carter Wilson, the big Sequoia brewing machine. He's trying to figure out some way to get around as well. Top 10. All still viable in this race. And now the 98 makes a move on the 3. The 3 almost goes around. 3 will go around. 98 goes around. 0-3 around. 98 around. And that will bring out the caution flag one more time. 34 involved as well. And more cars wrecking as a result of that incident. At least 5 cars involved, including 34 of Mike Rhino, the 0-3 machine of Ronnie McKay. The 15 of Mackenzie Brewer gets a piece of that one. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and that looks like a little bit more of aggressive driving than maybe some of the incidents that we have seen before. And I mean, 03 tires did not leave that yellow line. 98 just went down to the apron, came back up, gave him the slightest bit of a nudge. 03 tried to save it and came back down into the 98. Both those guys into the wall. 34 gonna get damaged again. This track, when there's a wreck, you have nowhere to go. And 98 pulled up, collecting the 00, and that's why all the wrecks that we've seen this evening, they're so big. You get 2 cars go into it, but it's so hard for these guys to avoid it. You don't want to really go down the grass. You'll slide back up and get into the outside wall. So it's really hard to avoid wrecks, especially ones like those that are happening with the guys, with a limited amount of guys. Again, 9 drivers on the lead lap, but it happens up there. Everybody else, all those lap down cars with damage, poor steering, they're going to have to try to avoid that, and that's why you see so many guys pile on into these things.
It will be less than 30 laps to go when we go back to green flag racing. And if I were to bet, man, I would put the pace car right now somewhere in position number 15, maybe position number 16, as he's almost turned more laps than some of these drivers out here on the field.
I mean, we've had the fair share of yellows this evening, Joe, and the anticipation is picking up, because when it's all said and done, 250 laps on the board, if you've made it to this point, you're going to have a shot at this one. You could be sitting as Stephen Matthews right now, the 98 machine, at the tail end of the lead lap in 9th. You can still win this thing. Nothing is said and done. We're inside of 20 laps to go. This is where the gloves come off. We saw it with that latest incident, and I don't think we're done with the aggressive racing. This is short track racing at Langley, and they're going to be going for this checkered flag with so much on the line, especially in Goodwin's case. The cash prize, the Triple Crown Championship, trying to get a win on the season. So many different things going to come into play here in these closing laps. It's going to be a barn burner for sure.
Pace car lights are off. 1 more to go on the low side. Kevin Walker able to defend successfully so far. On the high side, Jake Goodwin. He's looking for the points lead. He's looking for a bunch of other stuff. He's looking like the Triple Crown win. He's looking for the bonus money from the sponsored by Cousins Towing and Recovery, and they're going to extend this yellow flag one more time around as Kevin Walker and Jake Goodwin get everyone lined up behind him. Once again, Ronnie McKay has his black flags clear. It's going to be the 05 of Todd Cousins that's going to get Lucky Dog. He will be back on the lead lap. You see him going around the pace car this time by, and next time around, We should be back to green flag racing. Kevin Walker wants it. Jake Goodwin has a lot of reasons to win it. And then there's Ricky Arbeau battling for the points lead. Who's going to have it? We will find out as the pace car gets ready to go down pit road, this time by the 35, the 48, all eyes on them as they both hit the hammer simultaneously. The 61 spins the tires, the 48 now immediately on the back bumper to the 35, and we have a dogfight once again with about 17 to go.
Goodwin's there. It's a car length now. He's going to try to close that into turn number 3. 61 to Ricky Arbeau in third. Wants to get into the mix as well. This time by the start-finish line, Kevin Walker still with the advantage. Jake Goodwin trying to close in. They're starting to push it. The left side tires are getting down there on that apron in the corner. Goodwin in the 48 Red Bull machine continuing to try to close on his bumper. This time by 15 to go. Yellow flag going to fly. Trouble on the track.
Ronnie McKay involved once again with the 34 of Keith Mack and the 00 machine, all getting a piece of it as well. The 00 machine belonging to Martin Landry, and I'm not exactly sure how that one came together. All I heard is a couple of angry words on the radio, and it looks like it's a 34 and 03 just happened to make contact going into turns 3 and 4. The 03 almost cutting off the 34. 34 nowhere to go, gets in the 03, collects the 00 as a result. And Mike Rhino and Ronnie McKay, I don't think they're going to be friends after this race is all said and done.
I think that could be a little bit of an understatement, Joe. The 00 Martin Landry has, I mean, what a night he has had. He's been involved in what seems like dozens of incidents. The 00 just cannot catch a break, and he's still sitting 14th, so he's doing what he can with his misfortunes, but definitely not what he was looking for. Now 10 cars on the lead lap at this point. However, Ronnie McKay in the 03 machine down the pit lane again after getting taken out by the 98 of Steven Matthews. Keep in mind, Ronnie McKay not only was trying to get this Triple Crown when he was the closest one to Jake Goodwin, only 2 points off, but he's sitting 5th in the championship standings entering tonight's race, about 32 points back from Ricky Arbeau up at the number 1 spot. That's going to take a big hit for that 03 team as well, drop it all the way back now to the 10th spot.
That is going to be a huge hit if he's unable to finish this race under his own power. Right now, that would put Ronnie McKay somewhere around position number 10, as you see him still sitting there on pit road, but time is running out rapidly for the 03 team. They need to find a way to get back on track and at least defend that position. If they go one more lap down, that would put them in position number 13. If they are unable to finish this race under their own power, they might drop to all the way back to around position number 14 or even position number 15, depending on when they get back out on the track. Ronnie McKay, not the finish he wanted tonight. They got to do everything they can to salvage that race. Meanwhile, Kevin Walker, he's looking like he's going to be Cinderella of the ball. Jake Goodwin, Ricky Arbeau, Keith Mack, Steven Arsenault, all within striking distance as well. They're going to double up this time by, and we should have a big shootout. This could be, we might get one more restart after this if we're lucky, depending on when a yellow flag comes out, but I don't know if I would bet on it.
Now we're going to go back green here with 10 laps to go. If the caution falls quick, there's a shot at it. If not, the 35 of Kevin Walker, if he's in front of the field, could go home victorious. In 3 and 4, lights off the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car down to the pit lane. Kevin Walker on the loud pedal, the green flag back out. Jake Goodwin going to slide back into the second position, and we are racing within 10 laps to go. Does Goodwin or Arbeau have anything for Kevin Walker up front?
Kevin Walker gets at least a car length advantage. Jake Goodwin, though, starting to reel him in. Ricky Arbeau letting those two drivers have it just in case something crazy were to happen. 48 makes contact with the wall, going into the turns, is able to navigate them successfully, but that's going to cost him some time. Kevin Walker now 3 car lengths over the 48 of Jake Goodwin. Kevin Walker could be sailing away.
He's a half a second in front of Jake Goodwin in the second position. Ricky Arbeau still behind Goodwin in the third spots. Laps continuing to wind down. Everybody in the lead lap, single file as they run right now. 35 of Kevin Walker continues to be so smooth. Now 7/10 of a second over Jake Goodwin. 35 machine pulling away up front as the 61 of Arbeau took a look to the inside of Jake Goodwin's going to hold off for now.
The 35 of Kevin Walker crosses the start-finish line to complete lap 244, 6 to go. At this juncture, Kevin Walker sailing away with this race over a second on Jake Goodwin, Ricky Arbeau, and Keith Mack. Now the battle might be for position number 2 for Jake Goodwin. That's going to cost him 50 cents. Behind him, caution flag out now. 5 cars around. 5-car Patrick Healy. He's involved with the 34th. Keith Mack, it looks like. The 5-car around, and that could end the night.
It's going to be the 34 machine. It is going to initiate the contact. That is going to be the 34 of Mike Rhino on the bottom lane. Drives it down to the apron and takes out the 5 machine going into the corner. And an incident between those guys. Those guys have been racing for a while, and I'm just taking a quick look at the replay, and that was not the first time that they made contact in these last couple laps. So 34 going to give the 5 the boot, and they're both going to go into the outside wall.
The Rhino, it looks like he's going to be in having a lot of issues. The Rhino just charging everything he can find as a result of this race. Let's go ahead and go back to Tim Terry, though, real quick, who I know, Tim, you've got a lot of thoughts on the race, quality of racing we're seeing here tonight. And this has been a great race and an interesting race on many different levels.
Yeah, I think this one's done here. We got 3 laps to go. I don't know if we're going to get 1 lap dash or not, but I'll try to make this quick. We've got some work to do. Obviously, there was a ton of cautions here tonight. I'm not going to exclude myself. I was involved in at least 2 cautions tonight. It's a tough racetrack. 250 laps is a long race. The super late model with this tire is a little bit, you got to get a grip on it. But, there's a couple of issues these guys had to climb tonight, but it looks like Kevin Walker's going to walk away with the win unless they get the light shut off this time by. Congratulations to him if that's the way it ends. I've got some work to do on my Ford. I got it fixed after clobbering that Jersey barrier on the front straightaway, trying to hold off Mike Rhino and Carter Wilson for the free pass. But then the Ford motor ended up blowing up in it. So there's not much we can say about that. We'll get something ready. We got a substitute driver for our car next week, so we'll get the Swan Racing Ford Fusion ready for him next week at Irwindale.
Lights remain on. It will. The race is over. One more parade left for Kevin Walker. Tim, this is the first time we've seen this super late model on TV. First time we've seen it really run here with the Maritime iRacing League. What have you been able to learn, and are we going to be seeing any tweaks or changes or improvement to the series as a result of the super late model?
From the series, I don't think so. We have the car what it is. We can't change the car. I think iRacing needs to tweak the tire. There's no fall off on this tire. I don't know when Kevin Walker last pitted, but I did not pit the whole race except for fixing that damage. I turned my fastest lap on 186 lap old tires. There's no fall off whatsoever. So we got a winner here. Yeah, we got some tweaking to do. JD and I are going to be busy with the incident report going over with our series admins, but congratulations to Kevin Walker. Great win for him.
Tim Terry putting on the black cowboy hat before he goes away. Tim, we'll see you in 3 weeks' time. Have a great time. Be safe in Florida.
I'll try to, and I need to thank my sponsors for watching my terrible effort tonight. Swan Racing, Ackles Racing, JDR Graphics, the group at James Pileski Racing helped me with the setup tonight, and Meehan Racing was also on the car this evening, so I need to thank them as well. And the Cousins Service Center for coming on board tonight, Double Clutch, all the series sponsors. We'll regroup and come back next week. We got some work to do.
That's your series administrator, Tim Terry, as Kevin Walker gets to the front stretch, burns him up. He wins the final Triple Crown event, tearing up that car. Evan, a race well earned, a race well won.
Yeah, when we saw him sneak up there to the #1 spot, I don't think many were considering him to be able to stay up there. And again, I talk about he qualified in the top 5, so it's not like he sat back all race. He was up there, but he didn't make a lot of noise. He rode his laps, he minded his own business. The next thing we know, he's up to P1, and he held off one of the fastest cars all night long, and afforded a Goodwin at a well-deserved victory for the 35.
When we come back, we'll talk to your top 3, recap the race, and go over the first official race, a TV race of the super late model. Kevin Walker, your winner tonight at Langley Speedway for the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250. We'll talk to him and your top 3 when we return. Stay tuned, race fans. The post-race show is next. Tonight's live coverage of the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 live from Langley Speedway, part of the Maritime iRacing League on ETV Motorsports Live is brought to you by Cousins Service Center and Cousins Towing and Recovery, an automotive business in Chesapeake, Nova Scotia. Contact Cod Cousins for all of your automotive needs when you're in Chesapeake, Nova Scotia, or anywhere in the Maritimes. Cousins Service Center and Cousins Towing and Recovery proudly sponsoring the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250 from Langley Speedway. 250 laps in the books. Here's how it all ended. Kevin Walker finishes a race under yellow. He will be your winner of the final Triple Crown event. Jake Goodwin second, Ricky Yarbo third, Keith Mack fourth, Stefan Arsenault rounds out your top five. Steve Matthews in sixth, Carter Wilson seventh, Todd Cousins eighth, Travis Rowan ninth, David Cassidy rounding out your top 10. Mike Rhino, the first car, one lap down, finishes 11th. Mackenzie Brewer, Martin Landry, Ronnie McKay, Nathan Doherty, your top 15. George White, Tracy Foster, Patrick Healy, Tim Terry, Christopher Garnett, your top 20. Kyle Gammon, Carson Aoub, and Doug Hubhley rounds out your field of 23 drivers tonight at Langley Speedway. But tonight, a big win for the man in the 35 machine, the Childhood Cancer Canada machine, Kevin Walker, down in victory lane with our very own Evan Pasoko.
And that's right, Kevin Walker's going to climb out of his number 35 machine here, victorious at the Langley Speedway. And first and foremost, Kevin, congratulations on the victory. Talk us through the first race here with the MIRL and the super late models.
Oh, it was a awesome run. Still trying to get used to this new car we're driving, but the setup held up. I did some practice last night, and I learned that putting new tires on this late model is kind of pointless. So I didn't pit during the whole race, just held my own and came to victory lane.
And definitely walk us through some of those changes that you've noticed between this new super late model as opposed to the one that we've been driving so far this season.
Definitely more horsepower. I find it's a mixed breed between the national car and the old late model. I just have to watch the throttle response coming off exit. But besides that, fun car to drive.
You have the second best average starting position this season and the third best average finishing position so far. You qualified in the fifth position, really didn't make a lot of noise until the second half of that race. What were you doing in those opening stages?
Well, I knew it's a long race, 250 laps. I was just trying to stay out of trouble and wait till the right opportunity arrives. And when a couple of guys in front of me pit, I stayed out and held on after that.
And then finally, when it came down to it, you had to hold off the driver of that 48 machine who was going for a big cash bonus, so you know he was going to be driving hard. That's the 48 of Jay Goodwin behind you there for the better half of that second half of that entire race on your back bumper, and you were able to hang on. How'd you do it?
I didn't look in the mirror. I was afraid to. I knew Jake and Ricky and all them behind me are fast as well. This is all a learning curve for all of us, and just thank Jake for racing me clean there, and I finally came home with a win.
Well, this is definitely going to help you out in those championship standings. Should be moving up now to the third spot out of this evening's race. Who makes it happen? Who gets to the 35 machine to the track?
Dynasty Motorsports, ASR Racing, and Childhood Cancer Canada Foundation.
At Italy 10-4, well, congratulations on the victory, and we look forward for another finish like that next week.
Thanks.
Joe, that's going to do it down here for the victory lane. Kevin Walker in the 35 machine going to go home and pick up his first win on a 2014 campaign. You're down there now at the pit lane with Jake Goodwin in the 48 finisher in second.
Jake Goodwin parking it right behind the first Racing Ford Mustang pace car. And Jake, before we get into anything else, you had everything on the line tonight. You were looking for the big payout, $16 on the line. You're going to walk away with $10.50 of that. Not a bad payday, but it's not $16.
Even if I didn't take the challenge, I don't think I could have kept Kevin behind me. He had a wicked fast car all night.
You were definitely looking strong yourself, battling in throughout the top five all night long, even leading some laps. What what made it so good for you? What made this super late model work the way you wanted to while you were racing the car tonight?
I just tried to take it easy for the first few laps and let it come in, and after it started getting a little grip and the tires got a little better, I'd try to pick up the pace a bit.
And he certainly seemed to pick up the pace. Some of the things that a lot of drivers been saying tonight, the tires don't seem to fall off at all on these cars. Did you notice that as well, driving the 48 machine tonight?
Yeah, for sure. I'd run some of my fastest laps on the 100 old tires or more.
Now, more importantly tonight, you walk away with the Triple Crown Championship. You are the Maritime iRacing League Triple Crown Champion. You're also going to walk away with the points lead tonight. Both huge boosts to your campaign in what might turn into the Winter 2014 MIRL Championship.
Yeah, definitely not a win, but I couldn't have had a better night, really. I'm super pumped to get the Triple Crown, and first time ever leading the points, so I couldn't have had a better night.
Jake Goodwin, I know you have a lot of celebrating to do, and a lot of people want to celebrate with you. Who makes it happen for you?
First, I'd like to thank Cousins Service Center for coming on, making the show happen, and putting the pole challenge on. And I want to congratulate Kevin Walker on his win. Only took him 4 starts in the Super Series to get his first win, so congratulate him on that. And I'd like to thank CBC Racing and the whole team for help on the setup.
That is Jake Goodwin, your Triple Crown champion and points leader after finishing second in the Cousins Towing Recovery 250 at Langley Speedway. Jake, congratulations on your win, and I'm sure we'll see you battling for another win when we go racing next week in the Maritime iRacing League.
Yeah, thanks.
That's Jake Goodwin, driver number 48 machine, finishing second, and I believe Evan Pizzoga is caught up with our third place finisher, Ricky Arbeau.
Yeah, that's right. We're down here on the pit lane with Ricky Arbeau, and Ricky driving the 61 machine. Again, first race with the new super late models here with the MIRL and coming on live with ETV this evening. First and foremost, your impressions on the new car.
I love the new car. New car feels great. I think they hit the nail right on the head on this car. When they were initially released the old 8 model, it to me it was broken. So releasing this one, I think they did a great job. The cars have got all kinds of power, and they do got lots of grip. I find the tires stay in pretty good. I pitted once there. I was a little concerned about damage, but I didn't have nothing. But all in all, I think it's an 8 out of 10. They got a couple things to add to the setup, in my opinion. Like the rear end should be done by angles and not by mount, like position of mount and all that stuff. But in my opinion, they're great.
And then you talk about entering tonight. You were tied for the championship lead. Jake Goodwin going to finish 1 spot in front of you. You're going to leave this evening second in the championship standings. A very solid start to your 2014 campaign. Talk us through that.
Yeah, this year's been good. We came out with the first 2 wins and was quite happy and had another strong run the week after that. Coming in tonight, I knew I had a good piece. I messed up qualifying, brushed the wall on both laps, like just enough to scrape the paint off it, and iRacing took my lap. So I had to start at the back, and I come up through the field probably 3 or 4 times tonight. I can't be any happier than to finish third.
Yeah, we saw that this race had its fair share of yellows and several guys getting involved in several incidents. You talked about where you started in this race. Started 19th on the grid, was able to get up to the top 3 before it was all said and done. And we saw you stuck on that top lane sometimes in the 61, dropping back. What was it that was giving you the ability to just keep on driving back up to the front of the field?
We tested a lot through the week. I got quite a few laps in this week, and I knew I had a really, really decent race set up. I had nothing on the high side. I never even tested on the high side. I knew that there was nothing out there to begin with, and be wasting my time trying to set up out there. And the car really worked good in the bottom side. And once you got your momentum and once you got heat in the tires and getting a little rhythm, it was great.
And definitely, well, you're going to come home with a third place finish, another solid finish on your 2014 campaign. You're just going to be a couple points behind Jake in the points moving forward to next week. Sponsors and shout outs, who makes it happen for you in the 61 crew?
First of all, I got to thank Cousin Service Center for coming on board tonight. They did a great job. You guys, ETV, put on great shows every week. On from there would be Energy Hour Productions, Nick Story, Nathan Vanek. They've been with me now for a decent while. I also got to thank Early Renovations, Eastside Board Supply, my girlfriend for letting me do this, and also my teammates at York County Motorsports.
At Italy 10-4, well, congratulations on yet another solid finish, and we look forward to more from you in the 61 next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Joe, that'll do it down here from the pit lane with your third place finisher, Ricky Arbeau.
And that will do it for us here from Langley Speedway, the ending of the Cousins Towing and Recovery 250, concluding here after 250 exciting, contentious, and altogether fun laps with the Maritime iRacing League. Our thanks once again goes out to Cousins Towing and Recovery, as well as Cousins Service Center, for their sponsorship tonight. Remember, they are an automotive business in Chesapeake, Nova Scotia. Contact Todd Cousins for all of your automotive needs when you're in the Maritimes. We hope you'll join us next week when the Maritime iRacing League goes racing from the Irwindale Outer Ring for 125 laps. That's an 8 p.m. Atlantic, 7 p.m. Eastern start time. You won't want to miss it here on ETV Motorsports Live. On behalf of my entire broadcast crew, my partner in crime, Evan Pasoko, the entire ETV Motorsports Live broadcast team, I am yours truly, Joe Cortez, saying congratulations once again to Kevin Walker, the winner of the third jewel of the Triple Crown in the Maritime iRacing League. We'll see you all next week on Wednesday, February 12th, when we go racing from the Irwindale Outer Ring with the Maritime iRacing League. Good night, everybody.